Good morning. Erev Shabbos. Parshas HaChodesh. Kudei. Concluding the book of Shemos. Blessing the new month of Nisan. Nisim, a month of miracles. It says that we went out of Golus in Mitzrayim in Nisan. In the future, we'll go out of this Golus also in Nisan. And very similar is the feeling that we have now of the universal need. Everybody feels the need to go out of the present situation that has stripped us, really, of so many of the things by which we structure our awareness of what our life is all about. What kind of Shabbos will it be when the shuls are closed, when there are no minyanim, when we don't have guests at the Shabbos table? People are asking, how do you conduct a Seder without guests? And even in our class here, the difference is so remarkable. We're learning chapter Perek, or Perek Yud Beis in Tanya, completing the first 12 chapters. In class, where there's interaction between us, we cover maybe a line or two lines in a whole class. Here, we're reading through it like Meltem, very, very quickly. And I don't know how you girls feel. I also don't feel that we're getting anywhere near the depth of understanding of the chapters of the Tanya as we do when we're learning face to face with one another and there's interaction between us. But welcome. We'll continue learning chapter Yud Beis in the Tanya. The Beinoni. We've examined at length the whole idea of the godly soul, the animal soul, the different categories that a Jew could find himself in his avodas Hashem, in three categories that make up a congregation. A congregation is called a tzibur. Tzibur stands for tzadikim, beinonim, urashoyim. You have to have all three together. Therefore, even on Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we invite wicked people to join us, because without the rashoyim, we don't have a tzibur. Similar to this, by the way, the Alter Rebbe brings in the Tanya from the Mishnah that of the 11 spices that are used for the incense in the Beis HaMikdash, galbana is very strong, unpleasant aroma, and it has to be included in the 11 spices, or else the incense is not proper, it's not kosher. Okay, so we learned about the tzaddikim, the many thousands, tens of thousands of levels of tzaddikim, especially in the area of tzaddik v'ra loy, that's incomplete tzaddik who has some remnant of evil left in his character, but it's inactive. It's like a dormant, a volcano that's totally dormant, inactive. Then we learned about, in the realm of Rishoyim, the equal and opposite. Here we go. You can see this. There we go. The equal and opposite situation amongst the other Russia, where Toiv, goodness in his soul, is very active, but from time to time is overwhelmed by the Yetzer Hara with almost infinite number of variations and possibilities depending on quantity. What is the strength of the Yetzer Hara? Quality. Which areas does the Yetzer Hara, in which areas does the Yetzer Hara attack a person? Where is he vulnerable? Where is he susceptible? And frequency. We learned about the Beinani, having learned about Tzaddikim, and then about Rishoyim. Now we learn about the Beinani. Why is he not considered a Rasha? And the answer comes right at the beginning of the chapter, because he never does an Aveira. Never does, never did, never will do. So why isn't he a tzaddik? And we come upon the answer is because his Yetzer Hara is still active, very active, and he's struggling with the Yetzer Hara the whole time, except times of Kriya Shema, special times called Moichin de Gadlus. Moichin de Gadlus means literally, well, it doesn't mean literally. Moichin means brains, intellect, awareness. The Gadlus, we can translate this in two ways. It means awareness of the greatness of Hashem, or when Hashem shines his light into his own moichin, into the qualities of chachma and bina, which he himself creates and emanates from himself, and when they become vessels. Like we use the example of colored vessels. When we pour water into a colored vessel, then you see the water has that color, but really the water didn't change. So similarly, when Hashem shines his light and life into the vessels that he creates, so we see what that vessel is. When he shines his light into Chachma and Bina and Das, this is the source of Moichin, the source of intellect, the source of brains, and we see it. And when do we see it? When he creates the world in the morning, because every morning is a reenactment of the creation of the world. Every morning is day one of your life, day one of the world, and at this point, a person it's not only a revelation of the greatness of light, of Hashem's life in the world, it's in our own lives. We are waking up and beginning our day. And so we also feel this surge of the greatness of life, and therefore it's an opportune time, says the Rebbe, to connect our highest powers, which is our Chochmah Bina Das, with the Chochmah Bina Das of Hashem. And this inspires us with a meditation, when we meditate on the greatness of Hashem's creation, how he fills all worlds and surrounds all worlds, and he's beyond the whole concept of worlds, then our hearts, our mind are filled with the idea of the greatness of Hashem, and we begin to feel a warmth and a happiness that we can be connected with this truth. And this causes us to have a flaming fire of love that becomes awakened in the right side of our heart. And then this spills over into the left, a flaming fire of love in our mind, which goes down to our heart and fills the right side of the love b'chol, levav b'cha, with both sides of his heart is filled with love. Love of Hashem, and that takes place when we say Kriya Shema and when we daven, especially in the morning. Excuse me. Because this is what our davening is all about. When we say the Shema, what do we say? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with with all your soul and with all your might. That's what davening is all about. And then, in that frame of mind, we ask Hashem, we thank Hashem for being able to be together with Him, to host Him in our life. And and we ask Him for all our needs. Now, let me just check here. Somebody asked a question in the class. We have a question here. Let me see what it says. Messages. I'm not very good with this. Okay. Where did the message come from? Well, somebody sent me a message. I don't see it in WhatsApp, and I don't see it in my messages. Oh, here it comes. So a tzaddik doesn't have a yetzer hara, an active one. Okay, that's the question. Does a tzaddik have a yetzer hara? And the answer is, we discussed this at great length, the tzaddik has defeated his yetzer hara. There are different levels of a tzaddik. The tzaddik Gomor has totally destroyed his yetzer hara. He's converted it and transformed it into a yetzer tov. The Rebbe once gave a mashal from chess. When a pawn gets to the end of the board, it becomes a queen. And the yetzer hara, it says in the Talmud, if you're a farmer and you have to plow your field, the best tractor you can have is a good, strong, the best help you need is a good, strong tractor. And in your life, that's the ox, which is your yetzer hara. When your yetzer hara sets its strength to serve Hashem, you accomplish much, much more than your yetzer tov could ever accomplish on its own. But then you have the tzaddik v'raloi. The tzaddik v'raloi does have a yetzer hara, but it's out of commission. It's totally under control. It's been sent over the river in San Francisco to Sing Sing. It's in prison. It can't do anything. It says Hashem controls the yetzer hara and designates angels to control them. So He ultimately controls who can become a tzaddik, and regardless of what someone does, only Hashem decides if you'll be a tzaddik. There's nothing you can do. You asking, is there nothing you can do in the physical world? On the contrary, is your free will taken away? A person's free will is never taken away. And even though a person for 80 years can control his yetzer hara and deactivate the yetzer hara in his life, it doesn't mean that the yetzer hara cannot regain its strength. And how does it do that? Because you let him in. When a person, for whatever reason, it's called the Ruach Shtus, which we just learned about yesterday in this chapter. Rabbi Akiva says, Ein Adam Oivra Aveira Ela Im Kain Nichnas by Ruach Shtus. The spirit of foolishness enters into his mind, and here you have someone, Yechon Kohen Gadol, entered the Holy of Holies for so many years, and the end became an apostate and threw out Judaism. So nobody is immune from this virus called the yetzer hara. And yes, the Eibush is ultimately the one who decides who could become a tzaddik. We learned that in the first chapter, in the name of Eov, that's Job, who says, Rabbeinu Sholom, you created tzaddikim, you created Rishoyim, but you never said who is who. So it's always up to us how hard we want to try and how focused we want to be in our avodah. David HaMelech says about him also in the first chapter of Tanya, Hargoi Batanius, he killed his Yetzer Hara. He is slain. In other words, the selfish, self-centered attitudes are slain within his heart. So therefore, the word for slain also means hollow. His heart is a hollow within him because he has no Yetzer Hara. He killed it by fasting. Fasting doesn't mean dieting. Fasting means not giving in to the blandishments of the Yetzer Hara. Okay, so this is where we're up to now. That what happens when a person davens, and during the davening, he's totally focused on godliness. His Yetzer Hara has no place. His right side of his heart is full of love, Ava Aza Karish Be'esh, love like flaming, strong flaming love of God. It spills over into the left side of his heart, and the Yetzer Hara runs away. Our favorite mashal is like the cockroaches when you turn on the light. They scatter. The Yetzer Hara disappears, runs away. However, when a person finishes davening and the flames of love die down, and a person remembers all the distractions, Ruth Devora Wallen, she put it so beautifully, I keep on quoting her, we become highly distractible, and the awareness of being in the presence of the Almighty and of the privilege of being able to host Him in our lives dies down, so the Yetzer Hara comes charging back with all his desires of all the rewards the Olam Hazeh has to offer. Okay, so, but the Yetzer Hara doesn't take over, because he's not the only one in control, who's fighting for control of the city, which is your heart and which is your life. There's a godly soul there which isn't going to let him take over. Le levade mishpat hamalucha. The Yetzer Hara does not have sole control and dominion in the person's heart. Therefore, we're talking about a Beinani. The difference between the Beinani and the Rasha is that the Rasha gives into the Yetzer Hara at this point. Again, how serious is it? How often is it? How strong is it? These are variables. But he gives in. The Beinani never gives in. He struggles back and does not let, like Yaakov struggling with Esav's angel, guardian angel, through the night. He does not let the angel throw him down. Wow. Ulislabish be'evri aguf, that the Yetzer Hara should enclose itself in the limbs of our body. We don't allow it in. There's a story, of a chassid of the Alter Rebbe, who asked him, how can I control my mind when I'm davening and I have so many strange thoughts that come crowding into my mind? What can I do? He said, go speak to this and this chassid. And he sent him to a certain town. In those days, travel was very difficult. People were poor. They didn't have cars. They didn't have paved roads. He had to make his way on foot to the village where this particular chassid lived. And when he got there, it was evening, it was night, and it was raining, it was chilly. And he came to the house, and he knocked on the door. The chassid opened his window from above on the second story, looked out and said, who's there? He says, it's Reb so-and-so and so-and-so, the Alter Rebbe sent me. Good, he says, closes the window and goes back inside. He doesn't open the door. He's standing there, it's raining, it's chilly. So after a while, he's very puzzled, doesn't know what could have happened to the guy. So he knocks again. Guy opens the window. You? Okay. Close the window, doesn't open the door. And this goes on for quite some time, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And finally he lets him in, he gives him a towel, he dries him off, he gives him a cup of tea, maybe a biscuit, some cake. He welcomes him into his house, and he says, welcome to stay as long as he wishes. And he observes him, he's a good Jew, he davens, he learns, he goes about his business. After a while, the chassid says to the newcomer, to his guest, what's wrong? You look kind of upset today. What happened? He said, well, the Alter Rebbe sent me here to find out something from you, and I don't see it. I don't see how it's happening. He says, what do you want to know? He says, how do you control your thoughts? How do you keep the Yetzer Hara out of your mind? How do you control your thoughts when you're davening? And he says, I taught you that the moment you arrived. He says, you did? He says, quite clearly. Don't you remember? He says, sure I remember. It was cold, it was raining, I was outside, you didn't open the door. He said, well, that was the lesson. He says, what do you mean? He said, if you are in charge of your house, you're the one who decides who comes in and who doesn't come in. And this is the Beinoni. The Beinoni does not let the Yetzer Hara in to the world of thoughts. Another story. I saw this. I was present. It was a Purim Farbrengen. There was a chassid. He'd spent several years in Siberia. He was tough. He was a short little guy, and he was very, very tough. And he was like the Gabba. He took care of 770. He had a very deep, gravelly kind of a voice. Reb Asher Sasankin. And he was at a Purim Farbrengen, and he had taken mashke. And in general, Purim Farbrengen was very lively. And he stood up in between sichos, and he asked to speak. He wanted to speak before the Rebbe. Well, the Hasidim were very upset with this. They considered it to be highly rude, and the person should want to speak in front of the Rebbe. And there was a Hasid behind him, sitting beside him, who tried to pull him down. He grabbed his gartel and pulled him. He should sit down, and he hit him with his hand, tried to get him to let go of his gartel, and he didn't succeed. He pulled him down. They got right back up again, and he wanted to speak in front of the Rebbe. So finally the Rebbe said, leave him be. So he asked permission to tell a story. So the Rebbe said, you can tell the story. So what was the story? There was a chassid, and he was talking to a person who wasn't a chassid. And he said to him, sometimes my Yetzer Hara beats me up. Sometimes he gives me patch, that's what he said. Sometimes Yetzer Hara gives me patch. Sometimes I give the Yetzer Hara patch. I give the Yetzer Hara a smack. You want to see what it's like when I give the Yetzer Hara a smack? Come tomorrow at Mincha time. That was the story he told. What does that tell us? That a person trying to serve the Eibishter, who needs to control his mind, because he's not a tzaddik does control his mind, he has to prepare just like in battle, in a real war. A general maps out his strategy. Where is he going to position his troops? What is he going to do in this eventuality? What is he going to do in a different eventuality? And he's prepared for whatever the enemy is going to throw at him. He's going to have his answer prepared, and he's going to counterattack. He's going to be on the offensive. And this is what this chassid said. You want to see me when I go on the offensive? I'll be ready tomorrow afternoon. And he was going to dedicate his time in the meantime to getting ready for that. Okay. I don't know anybody who undertakes such avodah nowadays, because nowadays the emphasis is on action, on tzedakah, and doing good deeds and acts of kindness to bring Mashiach. This is the Beinoni. The Beinoni has a Yetzer Hara, but he's struggling not to let the Yetzer Hara in, that it should be enclosed in his mind or in his heart or in his action or in his speech. All right. Continuing now in Tanya Perek Yud Beis, where we left off yesterday. Why is the person, the Beinoni, not called a tzaddik? If he has such devotion to Hashem when he's davening, and at these moments he is totally in control of his Yetzer Hara, why is he not a tzaddik? And the Alter Rebbe writes, Sheyisrein hazeh, now this is very key. Yisrein hazeh, this advantage, asher la'or nefesh elokis, that the godly soul is a source of light in a person's life. And the advantage of light over darkness, we said, is that even a little light pushes away a lot of darkness. So the advantage over the darkness and the foolishness of the klippah, which is pushed away automatically, like we said, when you turn on the lights and the little creatures run away. This only extends to the three garments of the soul. But it does not extend to the essence of what the soul is, so that the essence of the godly soul does not vanquish the essence of the animal soul. And this is the key, because in the tzaddik, the essence of the animal soul is either totally put out of commission, or it's even transformed to become a second, very, very powerful, additional godly soul, in addition to the godly soul. So you have a double godly soul in this person. Oh yeah. But in the Beinoni, the advantage of the godly soul does not extend to the essence of the animal soul, which is from the klippah, which is klippas noiga. And he explains, Ki mehusa v'atzmusa shel nefesh habahamis, because the essence of the animal soul, shemi ha-klippah, which comes from klippah, the animal soul comes from klippah, and the essence of the animal soul, which finds its comfortable place, its comfort zone, is shebacholol hasmoli, in the left side of the heart. Le nidcha klal, it's never pushed away, mimakoymoi, from its place, b'beinoni achar tefillah, when he finished davening. During davening, he gets rid of it. But after davening, it comes right back. He's going to say in the next line, like in the next page, we're going to have a few more lines, like you never even davened at all. It's less, he could have been in the highest worlds of inspiration, finishes davening, it's like he didn't daven at all. Because now, after davening, the flaming fires of love die down. The flaming fires of love are no longer revealed in his heart, b'chol hayamoni, in the right side. But the right side of his heart is inlaid with love, which is now called not the flaming, strong love called Ava Aza, but it's Ava Mesuteres, a natural, hidden love, Ava Tevias, a natural love that every Jewish person is created with this natural love of Hashem. Shebenefesh Elokis, and it comes from the godly soul in every single Jew. So when you're dealing with a Jewish person, you have to know that this is the essence, what they really are. Even though the Yetzer Hara may still be strong in their life or in our life, but what you're appealing to, what you have to focus on, and when you're focused on it, you awaken it. is the essential love of Hashem in the heart of every Jew. So you girls go on Mitzrayim, well now you can't go on Mitzrayim even, but when you go on Mitzrayim and you go to the mall and you meet some Jewish lady and you give her a Shabbos candlestick and her heart is warmed with memories of Shabbos in her home, in her mother's home, in her youth. This is the natural love of Hashem that's in the heart of every single Jew. And so, since the fiery love of Hashem dies down, it becomes eminently possible that the foolishness of the old king, the foolish old king, the Yetzer Hara, who comes with his negativity and his bad ideas, can be B'Hizgalus Libei B'chol Asmoli, can once again, after this wonderful experience of davening, but the Yetzer Hara makes itself felt all over again in the left side of the heart and causes a person L'Saves Taiva L'Kol Inyonei Gashmias Olam Hazeh, and he's filled with desires for every physical thing that you could imagine, or that he could imagine. Bein Beheter, and just like we learned that there's a kosher Yetzer Hara, and there's a not kosher Yetzer Hara, heaven forbid, so he can desire things that are kosher, but they're not part of his avodah. Like this well-known story, which I've mentioned so many times, about the father who was concerned about his son, who was crazy about baseball, and the Rebbe said, don't worry, it's a clean Yetzer Hara. So a person can daven, and then in such a case, after davening, he's got to know what happened